Easy Explained, Kant's Groundwork, second section, part 2. Just continuing to move through the second section here, again, splitting it up into 2 parts, make it a little more easy to grasp and digest. Subtitle here, still the same subtitle, still working within our transition from popular moral philosophy to the metaphysics of morals. This is Kant's ethical theory. Going to finish grinding this out here, defining it, laying it out here term by term. In the second part of this second section, we really see Kant applying his concepts of the categorical imperative and the universal moral law. He applies this to other people and how we should be interacting with them. And you may have heard of this before as well. He starts to refer to other people as ends in themselves. So let's take a look at what Kant has to say here. Kant says a human being, and generally every rational being, exists as an end in itself, not merely as a means for the discretionary use for this or that will, but must in all of its actions, whether directed towards itself or also to other rational beings, always be considered at the same time as an end. So this is essentially saying, don't use people as means to an end, treat them as ends in themselves, right? Don't manipulate people, don't use people. Let's go on here. We got a few examples to look at of what Kant says about applying his categorical imperative to people. Kant also says the act that you use humanity in your own person as well as in the person of any other, always at the same time as an end, never merely as a means, right? A little more clarification here. Really, he's saying this to every rational being, every person, right? Even to yourself. You should treat yourself as an end, not just as a means to an end. Third example here from Kant, he says all rational beings stand under the law, that each of them is to treat itself and all others never merely as a means, but always at the same time as an end in itself. Right, so again, we see this idea of law going back to the universal moral law, the categorical imperative, this idea that if we're following our practical reason, our will that is necessarily good, we're obeying these commands, these duties we're receiving, and we're going to be treating people as ends in themselves, never merely as a means. And finally, fourth example here in the second part of the second section, Kant says the subject of ends, i.e. the rational being itself, must be made the foundation of all maxims of actions, never merely as a means, but as a supreme limiting condition in the use of all means, i.e. always at the same time as an end. Right, so this is really the crux of his ethical theory here. It's really coming into full picture here by the end of the second section of his groundwork. There's just one more section left, the third section, and we're going to keep going into that. But for now, I hope this helps.